We are live.
Right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Aradhana Tiwari from Be the Change by Aradhana, the founder of Be the Change page, an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, and your friend to invite my new guest on Be the Change page today. So, what is Be the Change page? Is This is a page where we empower you. I mean, I put a question every morning. So this page has created its own identity. It has a question that is posted every morning to introspect yourself and question yourself. As we always say, question leads you to more possibilities and choices. So this is a space where just one simple question that you can carry in your pocket the whole day, and you can actually wonder on that and introspect yourself and find your own, be your own guru and your own master. And the Be the Change talk show has been inspired from a lot of beings who are actually following their heart and have never given up on when things were nasty and cranky, and when they were kind of on the verge of giving up, but they never gave up because they knew something different is possible. So I love this show, and this is my favorite show, and it really brings up so many beautiful beings who are actually the walking, talking celebrities and changing the world like as by magic. And today I have a very, 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 very special friend of mine, a special guest who I have been seeing around and nurturing and caring around with him and looking at him, how he has grown over the years and how beautifully he has created his own life. And I remember the day when saw him, I was like, yeah, he is going to do something special, and he is doing something special. We all are special beings and we always have special capacities, but it's just that who takes that advantage of it and who has the courage of it. So today I have a very beautiful friend of mine, Mohnish Malhotra. He's an Access Consciousness certified facilitator for now. But Mohnish Malhotra is an energy worker, ghost whisperer, LGBTQIA, plus a leader from India. With his education in his linguistics and training in public relations, he is someone who's dealt with his suppressed anger, addiction, near death experience, and rose like a phoenix. Currently, he is a well recognized Access Consciousness certified facilitator who travels across the globe conducting classes around being you, changing the world, happiness, business, relationship, finances, addictions, life after trauma, and recovery, and talk to the entities. How does it get any better than that? So, welcome, Mohnish. How did we get so lucky for having you here and for you to say yes to this talk show? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you unmute yourself and can we have you here?
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of so cool to be here.
So cool. Thank you. And I'm feeling so honored. I'm feeling so grateful, and I'm excited to see you on the chair and the space. Like, I have seen you growing and I have really admired you at every step. So thank you for who you be, and thank you for never giving up, and the way beautiful you are showing the possibilities to the world. So
Wonderful.
I know loads about you, but I would like everybody who's joining in here today to know more about you and your journey. So can we start your journey from your childhood? Where are you coming from? What all have you been? And then from there, I'll take more questions.
Sure. Well, I'm very artistic, so sometimes I say what I want to say in the end, in the beginning. So I'm going to do my best to, you know, make sure you understand it. But what it boils down to the end is you got to look at your life and see what is the one or two or three things that people tell you are your worst problems. Like everyone told me when I was a child that I was a frog. I was jumping around all the time and like doing and then I was talking all the time. So, those became like two of my anchor points of judgment in life in general. Like, every time I would open my mouth, I would just start filtering. Like, "Hey, should I say this or not? Would I be judged or not? Or should I like be very excited or not? Should I jump or not? And whatever reason." So I started like kind of covering it up with, filters and editing, etc., etc., etc. And now, with this whole consciousness journey over the last 3 years or so, it's come to a point that I'm jumping and I'm talking, and now people are coming to listen and even paying me money. So, you know,
Your wrongness became your strongness, and it became your courage to win the world.
yeah. Actually, I became my wrongness, and then it became the strongness. I was like, okay, fine. So
Wow.
I wonder how many people like sit there and think about, if I only had this one or two things that I could change about my life, then I will have a whole turn around, etc., etc., etc. But what if you look at it from a different perspective, in the sense that maybe those are not exactly the things that you need to change, and perhaps you got to change your point of view around how you're looking at those things. And what if they
Wow.
turn out to be your strengths?
Yeah. So if you miss ask, like, what is your story? What is your background? You're coming from, and where did you actually created these barriers of not, and all those filters? What happened in your life that you kind of started building up those filters in your life of what to say and what not to say?
So I'm from a family where my grandmother, my grandparents, that generation lived in the undivided India, which is now Pakistan. So in 1947, the partition of the country occurred, and then some people moved this side and some people moved that side. So my immediate grandparents' generation is like that, you know, the people who witnessed the Indian version of Holocaust, where they lost
Mm-hmm.
family members, where people were killed and trains full of dead bodies were arrived and money was lost, and assets were left behind. And there was a lot of bitterness and anger and like all kinds of those very intense emotions. So that's what like my grandparents' generation, which were kind of wealthy back there, came here, became poor, and became angry about losing everything. So when I came into this life, I was told that the background of the family was wealthy, and then when they came here, it was a different story. My father was, both my parents are actually college graduates. My mother was a teacher, and my father was a college graduate, but he decided to kind of go into transport business. And there was a point, I mean, he was driving an auto rickshaw, and then my mother was like doing school and tuitions. And so I particularly heard stories of money which has been lost. And then what I saw here, like in reality, was like an extreme poverty situation. So my sense was, now all of that is lost. And like what occurs is, when you're a small child, you psychically start to build around these energetic bridges where you go over into your grandparents' world, your parents' world, and try and understand how to navigate this reality, how to sort of function in this world, because you don't come with that training. You learn how to judge, you learn how to speak, you learn how to behave. All of those are kind of acquired tendencies. So my sense was, okay, I started navigating realities from all these pathways. And then it was such a bizarre pathway for me, because it was like a very heady cocktail and concoction that resulted in some
So
really
you mean
extreme.
a child really, really picks up psychically everything around what happens?
Yeah, totally.
And we think kids are not getting anything around, right?
Because the sense is, kids don't yet speak the language. Like, for example, in India, we speak Hindi or English or Punjabi, depending, or South Indian, Tamil, whatever, depending on where we are. But all of those are translated versions of the energy that we communicate from. Like what you want to say in English, somebody will say it different in Russian or in Tamil or in Bengali. But essentially, you're communicating through energy, and then everything else is learned afterwards. So all of those energies that are unspoken, they're like hanging around there, and kids are really very aware. It's only when you start looking at it from an energetic perspective, if you choose a little bit of conscious by some luck, you get to see that, okay, it's that kind of an energy, and this is how my body responds to this energy. Okay, and I can undo this, and I can go there with this. And now, when you start to kind of look back and change your own points of view and create a different future, you can begin to facilitate people into a different possibility by your own example or story.
Then you become Manish Malhotra.
Sorry?
Then you become Manish. I said, then you become Manish. Manish
Yeah,
Malhotra.
yeah, totally.
Awesome. So, going to from further from that journey, so I'm sure you struggled enough with the money thing while growing up.
I didn't, they did. I just watched it.
you watched it. So how was it? What was your thing, and how were you in the school, and how was it bringing up? Were there energies? Were there nasty energies around, or were you like rebellious? Were you angry, and you started putting up the filters when? Is
I
my question.
personally thought that it was a very big deal, like, the subject of money, because it can really stress people up and it can like mess people up, etc., etc., etc. So I personally believe that money can create problems, or lack of money can create problems. But eventually it leads to, your point of view around, oh shit, this money is such a crazy thing. My parents are kind of twisted and unhappy because of it. So those were my silent observations, which kind of all turned out to be not true later,
Mhm.
because it's never really the money. I mean, you can have it and then you can lose it and then blah blah.
So beautiful. So what you actually perceive in your childhood, guys, listen to that. It's like it is not going to be true, and we keep holding those as true values to us.
It's
Thanks
like a
for that.
crazy movie you watch that you need to forget about.
Well, well said. Beautiful. Amazing. So what happened? See, I know you grew up, and then how, and there was a issue around your sexuality, probably, which you fought enough with this reality.
Yeah.
How and
Hey, first, I mean, like in my generation, I'm like in my 30s now, but when I was like hitting adolescence and puberty, I realized I was more attracted to men than women. And then, I had a couple of girlfriends in school, and it was okay, but it was not like how it was for my rest of my classmates. They were like all very excited and like about girls and all, and I had two girlfriends, but I was not that excited. That's when I like kind of looking at it, and I was like, what is this? Why am I not so excited? And these guys are always talking about girls, and like, and I had no vocabulary, nor I had any reference points or how to even like sort of look at this, because I didn't know what gay was or homosexuality was. And I'm talking about like, as a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old. Um, but then that's when kind of my body started changing and I started looking at different aspects of it. And I did realize at some point that, it was more fun for me to hang around with, women, but have fun with it and not like having that a lot of sexual charge around it, like my other schoolmates were talking about. And then at the same time, I would look at a guy and I could just stare at him and I was like, he looks nice. And luckily for me, by the time I was in school, there was a computer lab in our school, which had internet. So that's when I kind of started putting these things in Google and started putting like an idea around it. I was like, what is this? What is it called? How do you navigate? Am I like the only one in the world? Am I like the weirdest person here, or are there any more people there? That's when I
that's
like,
what I love about you. I mean, you were there in the world right there and then. You don't even have a, and you say you have filters. I don't think I've ever seen filters in you of like going and searching and finding on figuring it out in the world and being
right,
vulnerable.
Radhana, how many filters we all use? Because it may we are so good at pretending that we are normal or we don't have filters, but here is where like the World War III and 4 is happening all the time. So like computer lab actually allowed me to put certain words to it. I realized for the first time this thing is called homosexuality or being gay, and then there were other people in the rest of the world and even in India. And I just knew that I wanted to find out more, and I left it there. And as life went on, I found out more, and now I'm at peace with it. So cool. Thank you, internet, coming at the right time.
Yeah. So, but coming from the background you were coming, how did your parents take it, and how did you take it forward in your society with all? And how did you move forward? Was it that some point you were feeling low about it? Were you feeling different about it? And
Well, I'm a little bit of an asshole. So basically, when I realized my parents were not taking it well, I went and gave an interview in a newspaper about.
wow, wow, come on, talk about guts. Talk about courage with Mohnish.
So my picture came out with an interview, and then there was no hiding after that. I was like, deal with it. This is what it is. And then, of course, it created a lot of collateral damage for many years. We didn't have a great working relationship, which has changed now. But that was my only way to not kill myself, because I had that by that time started seeing some other people who were forced to get married, who went into suicide or depression or all of those things, which kind of tend to suppress you and take a different direction in life rather than creating your life. So my outlet was in a different direction. I was like, okay, if you don't like this, you don't like this. I'm going to just basically put it out there.
Mhm.
I took a little bit of gamble and eventually it worked out. I will not advise that you should do that. I mean, you should just see where you are and what will work for you. But for me, there was not much to lose. I was like, okay, I'm anyway feeling so crazy, and so be it. I can't hide myself, or I guess I just had the point of view is like I can be seen as a twisted, crazy person, even if that is how people wanted to see me from very beginning. I was like, okay. Some people call me frog and chit chat and like all kinds of name, and then this interview in Times of India came out in like, I don't know, 2007 or 6, and then I was like, I've been okay with it, to just let people think what they think about me. It allows me to have way more peace and fun with myself, to be honest.
You mean you just go to the tip of the Mount Everest and and you take a jump every time? Is
That's
it that?
one of the things. One of the ways is saying it like that, but then I just kind of, I feel very diminished when I have to hide something.
Wow.
I feel like I'm like, it feels like rust. It
Mhm.
feels like diminishment when I have to hide things.
So did you
So
not have fear of losing your loved ones? You do not have fear of this world and how crazy the world would, like, of course, as you said, the people wanted to call you with crazy names and stuff. It didn't affect you, or it did, and you did not show it?
I thought it did not affect me, but it
Thank
did.
you for
Because,
that.
you know, it did in the sense because it was supposed to affect me. Honestly speaking, it did not affect me. And that's what I thought. But then it was supposed to affect me.
Uh-huh.
So I let it affect me and I became depressed and suicidal. Because that's what you're supposed to do when your loved ones are angry with you. And then I realized, I was like, I'm talking about my loved ones. My grandmother had a very colorful life. My mother has this crazy relationship with my father. None of them have like this glorious stamp paper poster relationships. I was like, what is your complaint? Like, I mean, like all of you, none of you are perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's got to work out their own thing. It's just that my thing is a little more visible or a little more unconditional, or like, sort of
Out of
non-confirming and things like that. So I was like, it's okay. But then I did buy into the lie of that. Like, once you upset your family, you're supposed to regret, and you're supposed to kind of do some paschatap, etc. So I did go
were
that
you
route for a few years, but I
were you
stopped.
manipulating with your depression?
Look, now I've realized that, I wasn't really depressed. I just thought that I was supposed to be depressed because I've done this. Because everybody around me was telling me, it's like, oh my God, your parents are going to be upset. Whether they were upset or not, they were supposed to be upset and I was supposed to be scared. So we just went into this. We're supposed to do this because we're in this condition. So I applied the conditioning into it and then went into it. And that really like kind of didn't create too much fun. It was
So
crazy.
that lead you to drugs and addictions?
Yeah, like then I was like, now I'm a misfit, so I'm going to do everything according to this reality that's a misfit. Let me do drugs, let me do this, let me do that. Now this and that is like, zip files. We can like unzip
Right.
them later.
Right.
Okay, no pun intended, but not. So the sense is like I went in that direction also. And then I realized that so many people, person after person after person I met, deep down inside, they were quote unquote feeling hurt or angry about why it is not okay to be what they are being. Because people, everybody, whether it's me or like those thousands of friends that I have, because I also started this gay pride campaign and parade in India. So I know thousands of gay people in India who were experiencing this similar mind frame and mindset. All of them were supposed to be someone because that's the normal thing to do. And then they were angry and they were like fuming, and then some of them were covering it up with sadness, and some of them were rebels, and some of them were killing themselves. Some of them were like doing crazy things like drugs, like myself, just to not say, no, it's not okay. No, this whole normal shit is bullshit. How can you? But then again, you don't get a chance to kind of stand your ground. And then at the end, you just look at it and it's like, wow, it's never about gay or straight. It's about being normal. It's about fitting in. It's about doing what everyone else does. It's about, you know, liking a certain kind of a thing or talking a certain kind of a way or having a certain kind of a money because that's the right thing to do. But what if you don't have to be right or normal or whatever? And if you don't have to do that, you don't have to go into your own wrongness or go into this anger route or try to kind of self-destroy or self-destruction. And at the same time, I do want to point out one more thing. All the people listening out there, if you think you're self-destructive, like me or many others, please recognize this is your biggest strength. This is not your biggest weakness. If you're self-destructive, you've got this push of energy that you're using at yourself, that you're turning against yourself and like killing your body or like doing drugs or whatever. Exactly that very energy you can use in a different direction to destroy all limitations and not give a damn about who thinks what about you.
That's
Because
so
that is
beautiful.
a surge of energy that you can use to destroy all limitations. If
Yeah,
you're self-destructive, if you're self-judgmental, that's like an energy you're using against you or your body. That's the exactly same energy you're going to use in the other direction.
that's
Same
so
energy.
beautiful said and put by you, Monish, that how we use that whole energy to destroy ourselves rather than destroying our limitations. And if you so rightly put, they are. But tell me one thing, that when you were into that depression and drugs, and it's very rare that there are thousands of people in the world who are still into that mode of drugs and addiction and self-killing themselves. What actually triggered in your world to get out of it? What was how was that possible? Because I've seen so many people with drugs and
Some
addictions.
point, at some point, Aradhana, I realized that I was actually not depressed.
Wow.
It was something else. Because every time I did drugs, I felt a surge of love. I wanted to cuddle someone or wanted to talk nice things. Have you noticed any alcoholics? When they're drunk, they actually want to express the suppressed love. There,
Correct.
very few people are the angry alcoholic, but majority of alcoholics that I have come across, or majority of drug user I've come across, they either want to do like engage into sex and talk sweet and talk nonsense, which is called nonsense as per this reality. But that is what the overuse of alcohol or drugs at times allows your mental barriers to melt, and you can see the real being who has either suppressed themselves so much or has been suppressed by others so much that without the use of alcohol or drugs, they cannot express it. So when I
Wow.
realized that I was not actually depressed, that depression was a little bit of a cover up of how I actually wanted to be, I started doing some prayers to God. Help me.
Right. So when you're doing drugs and alcohol, the God does it does takes a place. I mean, he does has a value in your worlds. Is it?
It's not that so simply put. It's just that, like drugs can, and I know I'm going to be attacked for saying this, can give you a different perspective of perceiving what you perceive. Like I was seeing this documentary on Netflix called Psychedelia or something like that, where Deepak Chopra was talking about his drugs experience in the 60s and how it gave him the awareness of perceiving what other people perceive also, but from a different point of view. So I'm not saying go do drugs to become aware. No, that's not what I'm advocating. But like, it did open me up from looking in life from a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you become to realize you're more than your body.
Wow. So, so it's like, isn't that is what keeps you in addiction of the triphose sequencing or the repetition of having it again and again, probably. So that is the world.
Because
I
you're
mean, you
looking
see,
for the truth that you're more than your body, which is actually the state of being when you're choosing consciousness. But you've been told repeatedly that you are your body. When your body dies, you are dead. And we know that it's not the case.
correct. Wow.
So I think people who use a little bit of substance, they are more addicted to finding the truth that there is a different possibility with proprioception.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be achieved fairly easily with consciousness. Because
Wow.
proprioception,
Consciousness is the new drug, the most addictive drug that you can have. What do you say?
eventually,
So it's is that a choice too, that you stay in that state of depression and killing and be in the limitation, or to move out, even if it's said that it's very difficult to move out of the drugs and alcohol and addictions, like so old grown addictions. Is it so tough?
no, it's like
Because
taking a dump.
you've been both the places.
It's
So
like going to
I
potty,
it's going to the party.
potty to the toilet. You think about it, you think about it, but you're lazy and you don't get up, you don't get up, you don't get up. But one day you do.
Wow.
If you
And
don't
some
get up,
people
then you shit
and
in
what is
your bed and then you go.
it, so what is it that most people don't, Monish?
They
What
don't
do you
recognize that they did not use the drugs once and it's lasting them the whole lifetime. They
wow.
don't recognize they do drugs in 10 seconds increments. Like they did it once and they do it again. They choose it again. They choose it again. They choose it again. They choose it again. Because it's not one injection or one something or one drink they had that's lasting them for the whole lifetime.
So does
There,
that give them comfort inside?
it gives you an illusion.
Illusion of comfort.
Not comfort per se, it gives you an illusion that you're safe
Wow.
from the lie that you're not safe. You are safe.
You are safe. You are anyway safe, but we do not acknowledge that. So
Because
what made you
the whole thing
what,
is, Aradhana, one of the things is we all don't feel safe.
yeah, I get that.
There is this fear of we don't know what.
Yeah. So what when you actually took that step, how was it? Like when you actually took that one step to actually move out of it? What was the journey then,
It took me
Manish?
a while. It took me a while in the sense is I was, I hit rock bottom a few times before I actually bounced back. Um, I knew I'd reached a point where either I would die or change.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, I found the tools of access at that point. So I was not like even physically, like I started experiencing panic attacks that would look like heart attacks, like
Wow.
that were like literally, my left arm starting to freeze and like I'm thinking that I'm having a heart attack and I'd go to a doctor and I would not be having a heart attack. And this is like while sitting watching TV and watching a movie on my couch, and suddenly I get this panic attack and then I feel like I'm having a heart attack. And so I reached that point where I was like, I was prepared to die. I was actually secretly waiting to die, and I knew that I would die one day.
Gosh, that's amazing. And I get that. And I've seen that with people who've been to drugs and alcohol and these addictions secretly are actually waiting to
Because
die.
that's what you're told always, that once you do drugs, you'll die after that.
Oh, wow. That was coming to me this morning. That is a something that
That
you've been.
that's what you're sold. That once you go to drugs, there's no recovery, and one day you'll die. So I was waiting for that. But then in the same time, like how crazy we all are. We like kind of do this whole quantum entanglements of different things and things like that. So
That
while waiting for dying or death, I didn't die, and then I found consciousness. And two
had you died, Mohnish, that would have been normal for you, and you're not a normal person, anyways.
nobody is. People just believe they are normal.
True that. So we don't like to do everything normal and like what others want to do, and we want to follow the same. So you knew something else is possible.
Radna, yes. And the sense is, I want to like kind of share this with everyone that nobody is normal. Like, look at your household. One person will like bhindi more, and one person will like ghee more, and one person will like dal more, etc., etc., etc. So, this whole normalization is like the strangest, biggest lie that the whole population is supposed to go in one direction. It's not. Like, I've been playing with some horses recently, which is like my new addition to finding something weird to do. So there are 9 horses I have at the moment that I'm playing with. And each of those horses are so different. You offer them the same thing to eat. One will graze, one will just lick, one will gobble gobble, and one will be like this. And then I was like, shit, but we are all like this. Like even in my house, I remember my father liked eating more rice. My mother was a chapati person. My brother wanted chicken, and I wanted dal, and my grandmother wanted things without mirchi. But we just keep pretending we are so normal, and like everything is one, and everything is normal, and it's okay, and like we keep lying to ourselves, and we keep buying the lie, and I just like more and more frustrated about the fact is like, wow, look around. Nobody is the same. Nobody is normal. Even the family of 4, we are all so different. But we think we're normal.
What is this all about being normal? What is this about
Control,
such a lie, right?
control, to be controlled.
Wow.
If you're
True.
told you all fit into one category, then you can buy the whole same program. Like, okay, if you are in this category, this is like an association of RWA. Everyone will pay 1,500. Everyone will get one part car parking. Everyone will do this. Everyone will get this. Everyone will get this. These are the benefits, and then you all are equal. But we are not.
You're not.
That's a
Beautiful. You're
stupid
not.
program that we
Yeah.
just ignore.
So what do we do? What do we have to be here? What did
Just
you do?
know that it's a program.
How do you be in the world then?
Just know that it's a program, and always know what you know. And then if you never unknow what you know, in the sense, know that this is a lie, and if you don't let that lie unsettle you, actually that is the tipping point for you to start growing, orange out of an apple seed. Like that's when the magic of you, the change of you, that's when you can actually be the change that you are. When you don't buy the linearized lie and like the wholesale program of everybody's normal. This is family, this is society, this is RWA, this is Delhi, this is India, and this is your passport, and now this is your gender, and this is your whole race. So it expands. It's like concentric circles.
Beautiful. Wow. I love that. Beautiful. So it's like I remember you actually taking that parade in India as well, and taking this whole with there was a fight in the Supreme Court in India, and you were actually leading it for all your friends of yours. So can you talk a bit about that journey? How was it for you, and how was that in connection with of being acknowledging the difference you be, and what that got to you, and what that brought to you, and what that brought to the world?
Mm, sure. When I was a teenager and I went to Google, there was no material to read on this subject from India. Apparently, in the year 1985, there were 5 gay people in India. That was the only thing I could find.
Wow. But I'm glad that you find found 5 people at least.
I
I was
found an article that stated there were 5 gay people in India. I didn't find 5 people.
I mean, at least something to relate to. I mean, I thought there wouldn't be a single
Yeah,
thing.
like God. There are 5 gods. Lakshmi, Ganesh, Shiva. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
You know, and then that is the point where I just started looking at it. This needs to be better than this. Like, this is shit. We're such a big country. We're second after China. And then, wow, I'm a young guy and there is nothing for me to even like find out. And that's when I kind of started exploring in that direction, meeting people, and learned that there were certain people who were actually doing some work in this direction. Like my friend Anjali Gopalan, who had filed a petition in the Delhi High Court back then. So I started meeting these people and I learned that, they were doing some work. So I attached myself with them. I was like, okay, teach me how this is done. I want to contribute because I want to see a different future. Because when I'm 40 and if there is a 15-year-old child who wants to read something about this and is confused about his own body and own emotions and own awareness of preferences of choice, etc., they should have something to read and refer to. Because this is not the same in America. America is developed. The Stonewall Right movement was the first protest that happened in America, which was in the year 1969. We started much later. So we're still catching up. And now, so from the Delhi High Court petitions and doing fundraising for the LGBT community, starting the Pride, doing some press and media, like sending out press releases every month to newspapers and news channels, and going on television and sitting next to Ramdev when he told me that I was a twisted person and he can cure me. Like, we've seen those things. But we've kind of conquered all of that one by one, one by one, one by one, leading up to, like 3 years ago in the Supreme Court, 2 years ago, 2 years ago in the Supreme Court, where actually the judges apologized. They said, we owe you an apology. It's been long due. We're sorry that this happened to you. And then the other, Supreme Court Justice Chandrachud, he sang a song, Leonard Cohen, is like, democracy comes from the ashes of the gay, hallelujah. I was like, wow, this was pleasant. Like, it was unpleasant for so long, and this was pleasant. And along that line, like, media played a great role. And then suddenly the movies, after we did the first Pride, like Karan Johar made a movie, Dostana. And then that started changing the conversation and perspective of different people. So slowly, 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 it's like that one ripple effect that increases in its sphere of influence. That's what actually has shown up. It started from few conversations inside the JNU campus where some people thought it was unfair that there was no literature and no representation of LGBT community. And luckily, student groups are kind of protected by the law and they can do demonstrations and protests. So we attached ourselves underneath them and started the first Pride. That's how like the first Pride was born, thanks to the JNU students, because it was a group called Anjum. So from 2007 till 2020, it's been kind of incredible to see what's occurred and to see people who've contributed and who have died fighting for this. And
Beautiful how I've been listening to your this life story and how from where you started from. And so if I may ask this, like, how did all this, along with your finances and your money crunches, which was your baseline from your family, which you inherited, the anger, the angst, everything, how was it going along with all this journey?
well, the thing is, no matter what money I made, it was never enough. It was always enough for my mom, dad, what they made. And then it was, I think, a few years ago, then I looked at what I was creating. What I was spending in a month, they would spend in like maybe 2 years. But that also allowed me to see that I was actually generating that much, that I could spend what my family was spending in 2 years in one month, sometimes in a week. And now it's one day. like
So can you
sometimes.
give insight to people who don't have it and they think they cannot because they're coming from such backgrounds? So they say it's not possible for us, and it is
Yeah, you're
possible.
right. It's never going to be possible for you. You have the
That.
curse of poverty and you will die poor.
So what
Or
was
you can
different?
say, no, you're wrong, Munish.
No, I would not. So
No,
what
I'm
was
talking to
that?
all those people who basically, become bitter about the fact. You know, the thing is, find out what you're worst at and then turn it into your.
What was that? I think you were worse than so many things, Monish, if I may say.
I was told I was doing so much bakwas and I used my bakwas. Like the thing is, I remember passing 12th class and the first thing I did in like call center industry was beak. I was like, all I know is how to talk. Let me go do call center job. And they offered me 25,000 rupees a month.
Wow.
This was like 12, 13, 14, I don't know how many years ago. And I was shocked. I was going on my chacha's little two-wheeler that we had just gotten repaired to Noida every day and like bringing home 25,000 rupees. And it was incredible. And
Wow.
at that point, my dad was bringing 8,000 rupees.
Wow.
So that was a shift. And I was like, shit, sare bolte the. And I was not good at English. I did not know how to speak good English for whatever reason. Like, I had to learn. I realized I can talk. So let me just learn the language that works the best and that will allow me to sort of talk. But it was not just so much talking. I realized I could engage with people. I like could present an energy that they would like feel like talking back to me. So then call center happened, and then I explored so many other professions like jewelry and gold and diamonds and like crystals and whatever, many things, clothes like lengas. Like who would have thought I would make lengas and sell them, right? So like I've done everything. Like I've sat on the patri outside Jama Masjid to learn about what gemstones are. This is my school day life. It's like I have the gift of gab, and I've learned to use it. Yours could be a gift of accounting or dancing or photography or painting or talking. Who knows? Or being silent, being a great listener. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just look at what is it that you haven't explored yet, and then that is the seed you need to explore more and
Yeah.
nurture it more and go in that direction because
Wow.
no wind can stop you.
Yeah, because I remember seeing you with all the financial crunches coming on around last 2, 3 years, and
And they
from
haven't
there to
stopped. They haven't stopped. They still
yes,
happen. They still come, but they don't stop me. They didn't stop me back then. And I realized, okay, I'm crazy. I spend more than I make, and it's fine. So I better get to work and make some more. Now stop judging myself for spending so much because that's what
in India,
exactly allowed
yeah,
me to create a life.
yeah. But in India, it's always said that you should not spend more than you can earn. So what is that? And I'm sure it's in worldwide. So what is that? How would you say to the because you spend much more than you and did you never get fearful, never get scared that
I
when are
did,
you
did I did all those things, and I
okay?
realized those things were not making me happier than spending the money. I like spending the money, so now I like work even harder and make more money. My I heard all these things, chadar de ke pair falao, and all of that, like, which is fine, which is like the logical thing. But then, one thing that changed is when I learned about the tools of access, I started putting my 10% account and I took it very seriously. One of my mentors, and yours even, like Shannon, she told me about a year ago, she's like, do not touch your 10% account, even if your life depended on it, Mohnish. And now I've had like worked with Gary Douglas, who's like the founder of Access, closely on certain things. What I do is I put my 10% in one account and I don't touch it. If I need money, I make an FD out of it and I get 20, whatever I need from that FD. And my 10% is there. I get an
Yeah.
FD amount. I spend it. I do what I have to and then I pay it back. And then I'm learning how to create without, having too much cash in hand as you're supposed to. So please know, when you follow the energy of what you really want to create in your life, spending more than you earned would not matter after all. Because what matters is your joy. If you're actually engaged and if you're enjoying what you're creating, if you actually want to grow this, spending more than what you earn 6 or 7 or 20 times in your life will not stop you. You just
So
keep going,
what,
my friends.
yeah. So what shifted in you? What was that first tool? What was the first shift that you
It's
experienced in
not
clarity?
shifted. I'm still that silly.
No, but
But
there
I've
was a shift.
learned how to trust myself. I
Yeah.
know that, what I'm choosing, only I know, and sometimes it's not cognitive. It's based on, the future it's creating. It's like, how you like sort of go to college for 3 years. You sit in a class and you're bored and you're judged and you're like, whatever. But that's what gets you the degree and gets you the job. And then your whole life is set. So look at every choice like that. Every choice you're making is creating your future way beyond what you can compute from your mind.
So you mean follow the energy?
Yes, and follow your joy. If it doesn't make you happy, stop it and do something else. Because money is not ever the issue. It's a concept. One note in India is like 70 notes in US. And then I went to Kuwait for the first time. Like, one Kuwaiti dinar is $3, but it's one note. And like what you can do with like one piece of paper in different parts of the world, it's kind of crazy. I was
Yeah.
like, this is bakwas. It's a piece of paper.
Yeah, and people who are listening, so it's in last 2 years, I guess. So especially last year, 1 year, Mohnish has been traveling. I don't know how many countries have you traveled, and you've been
Many.
living.
I've stopped
He's,
counting now. It's been
he's,
too many.
I thought that he's left India. He's left India forever. It's thanks to our immigration officers that they got him back to India for a while. I'm sure he's gonna fly away again. So what is that about visiting different countries, and how do you manage, and what do you see different is there, and what is it, and what are you more acknowledging about you, and what probably people need to hear to create that world what you truly desire.
You know how you were pointing out your loved ones in the conversation earlier, Aradhana? Your loved ones are also the people who judge you the most. So when you're a little away from all of it, you meet people who don't know you in the sense the way you think people should know you, because that's the way your loved one knows you. How
Correct.
many of us actually just project on others that look at me from my mother's eye because that's who I think I am? Well, when you stop that, I was in a country where I didn't speak the language, many countries, and I didn't know these people. And thanks to my licenses for access, like there was a ready audience to hear what I have to say and take this class. And that's when I began to notice, like, wow, some of those things that I've spent my whole life trying to fix or change or whatever, it doesn't even matter here. Like, if I came here and lived for the rest of my life, all of that wouldn't matter. It's erased. So, like, I started erasing those things from my own life. I was like, if it doesn't matter here, why should it even matter there? So, bye bye.
Wow.
Then I started like looking at life like that. And I was like, okay, every day is a new day. Wake up in the morning, past doesn't exist. What else is possible?
So you mean we live in our stories, and it's all is our stories
It's
that matter?
our own stories. We just live in the Truman Show. It's like the same TV show set. तुम इस सीट पे बैठो, मैं इस सीट पे बैठा हूँ, अब हम बातें करें.
Wow.
It's like the same hot seat. But when you change the studio a few times, it's like, literally changing the molecules 180. Like I went to 10 or 12 or 15 countries in the last 1 year. I don't remember now. And then I was like, holy F. I didn't think about, you know, so much of the stuff that I used to think here. And I was making money and I was knowing these people and like I was enjoying food and I was enjoying the energy of my life. I was like, but this is what I want to do now. Why would I sit at home and think like, oh my God, my life is a problem when I can just like sort of go and create it more and more and more? I'm not saying that I have hundreds and thousands of people coming to my seminars and sessions, not yet, and they will. And what will it take? But you know, for the time being, it's expanding in all directions. And please, please do yourself a favor. Please, once in a while, go to a place where no one knows you, alone, not even take a friend. And you will recognize that, everything that goes in your mind is actually not even your story, it's other people's story of you.
Wow.
Other
That's
people's story of us. Like, we are in their vibrational virtual reality or movie. Like, we are like their brother, we are their sister. So every time they watch their movie, we are just standing there playing our character. And similarly, they are in our movies. And like, there's this whole reel going on.
beautiful.
There is this tape playing and playing again and again. And then if you eject yourself from this tape recorder, where else can you plug in yourself? Where else can you go? What else can you experience? If you have no friends tomorrow, will you have any motivation to live? If you have no family tomorrow, will you have any motivation to carry on?
Beautiful. So what all are you offering to the world? What all sessions are you offering? What do you offer? So if people are following you, and what they should follow for, and where are your workshops, and what you do. We have been posting your links, and it's amazing. And I'm sure you're a contribution to so many of us.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got a website. It's monishmalhotra.com and accessconsciousness.com/Monish Malhotra. I post my classes there, and there's not much to explain in the sense of what I'm offering. I like to talk to people about what's going on, and then somehow, always, somehow, with the tools that we have available, we get to an opening point where change seems to occur. So that's what I offer. Some change.
And also another question: how do you manage your finances when you're traveling? 15 now, people with so much money don't travel 15 countries in a year, and you land up staying in a place. So
Mhm.
how do you do that? And what gives you that courage to just keep going without?
I heard Gary say one thing. Gary Douglas, who's like the founder of Access, he said one thing to me. He's like, people who desire to create wealth, they'll go anywhere, bus, car, train, whatever. But movement is one of the key ingredients of creating wealth. And I think I took it very personally to my heart because I thought he could see what I truly desired because I am this nomadic person and I started exploring that. So sometimes if I have to travel economy, I don't have a problem with that. If I have to stay in a small Airbnb for 2 nights, I don't have a problem with that. I used to, but I no longer have problems with that. And then that's what allows me to not be hung up with what I'm supposed to do. I actually look at what is and what will work, and I keep moving. And then there is like this, whole, like the earth is a cycle, the moon is a cycle, the sun is a cycle. So if you don't stop your cycle, you keep moving, you'll again come to the rise and the waning and the rise and the waning. Like it's always a wave. And that's how the earth shows you how it creates itself, like autumn, winter, and then spring, and then summer, and then rain, and then that cycle. So just don't break your cycle, keep moving, don't be stuck in one place. And finances will work out, trust me. Even if it looks like it's raining or it's very dry, just know it's going to be spring next. Have trust.
Never give up, never give in, never quit.
Yeah. And once you've done few cycles, you get a little smarter. You're like, okay, fine. This is summer. Okay, fine. थोड़ा सूखा है. चलो चलेगा, कोई बात नहीं. अच्छा, अब. Okay, good. It's spring. New leaves. Let's harvest. Okay, winter. Great. Hibernate a little bit. Okay, let's eat dry fruits.
So what is it, that one line that you give to yourself when you're actually deep down inside falling and you're really crashing? What is one thing that keeps you and wakes you up?
There's not one.
There's not one. You use everything.
I use every line that's possible till I stop crashing.
Wow. So there is still that I would not crash. There is a choice that you've made.
I was like, bhai, dekho, aisa hai. There are like so many things to look at and so many points of view. Because looking for one line is like a conclusion. कि मुझे तो पता है कि I'll use this one line and that's my answer. No, you keep using everything that's available to you, every tool. Like literally, when you're crashing, use everything that's available to you, whether it's your prayer, meditation, swimming, going out for a walk, whatever. I don't care. But use everything till you actually feel better. And don't stop till you don't feel better. Because if you're not feeling better, it's not worked. Get to work more, and make sure you care for yourself and you are taken care of.
Wow. What else would you like to tell? I know I can keep going on and on with you,
I'd
Mohnish.
like to thank you, Aradhana, for the contribution you are, because I remember I didn't know jack shit about Access or anything. You were one of the first few people I met, and you opened your house to me and many others in the past, and hosting bar swap and offering classes, and that kind of that's what I needed to take off, and I did. So thank you.
I feel so proud today. You sitting here next to me, and I'm interviewing you. So Mohnish came and did his first kind of workshops with me, and I somebody who's been with you, stayed, and you've seen them growing. And I always knew that something is, and I remember poking him every time. I'm sure others have done that too with him. But the beauty of it was he would like take it and go and question it and would come back with it. Okay, is it now? Okay, now more. And I knew he would. And it at times I get jealous of him, and I'm like, I'll have what you have, Mohnish. It is so.
Yeah, but just remember what an ancillary contribution you are. Like, you're willing to put people out there with the tools you have available. Even if you think, Radna, your facilitation is good or bad, or your tools are limited and other people have more tools, but you just remember, you use those tools and you put people out there. And now it's up to them how they want to use their tools. True. But there is one commercial I would like to plug in here, that October is my birthday month, and I am doing this special, which is private sessions with me for $100 only for a month of October. So if anybody wants to talk about anything, we can talk.
Wow, lucky guys. Get in contact. Don't leave this one. He's amazing with Angie work. He's amazing with his job. I know him. I've been there. I've seen, and he's potent. He's potent like how, and wonder what gift that could be for you. Just $100 and nothing. I mean, $100 is nothing. If money was,
yeah.
And also me and Mohnish are coming up with the Being You class.
That is true.
In September on the 25th. So what else is possible? Being us.
Starting at 5 p.m. India time, going on till 11 p.m. And for those of you watching the delayed translation in Portuguese or Ruski, we're offering this in many languages. Just look out for Paulo, Stella, Elena, or Umesh, or Parita, or me, or Aradhana. One of us will just point you out in the direction. If we don't speak your language, don't worry. We'll reach out to you and we'll make sure we organize the translation. So just let us know if you're interested.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohnish, for such a beautiful time.
Thank you, Aradhana. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you, each one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody here. Thanks, Paulo, for this translation, and everybody who's in later would be doing the translation for this. Thank you so much.
Ciao. Thank you, Gago. Thank you, Radna. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.